come and hear about a piece of our history, and this gym that's right in our backyard, I think is a pretty great way to spend the evening. We will hear a lot about the history of Chimney Rock tonight. We have Ranger Joseph Hyatt here with us from the park to come and present. He is a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro with a degree in Parks and Recreation, and he has been a ranger since 2016. He has served at Dismal State Park down on the eastern end, and then he joined us over here on the western end, we all know the better end, in 2020. So he's been there for about 4 years. And like I said, we felt like this program was important to do because as we were having a conversation right before we started, there are so many people, even within our own county, who know very little about, again, this amazing park that we have right here. So I'm going to turn it over to Ranger Hyatt and let him take over. Thank you.
Hey everyone, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Okay. She already introduced me. She did a great job. I had this slide. I just wanted to share it with you all. Somebody in the back was asking how I got into the Parks and Rec field. I started out growing up in Boy Scouts, became an Eagle Scout, and loved camping and hiking growing up. And when it came time to go to college and they say go and work and something you like to do, I was like, I like being outside, so here I am. I've been with the Division of Parks and Recreation for North Carolina for about 8 years now. And I'm a park ranger too, which basically means I'm one of the supervisor rangers at Chimney Rock State Park. Originally, when I was putting this presentation together, I called it the history of Chimney Rock. And I'm here representing the state, and if I were just to go through the state park history, it goes back about 15 years, and y'all probably want me to go back a little further than that, so I'm going to do that for you. So we're going to go Chimney Rock through the ages. I'm going to take you through the history of the Hickory Nut Gorge and the Chimney Rock attraction and the state park, the state park system coming in and buying the Chimney Rock attraction. And going along with that, I'm going to break kind of the barriers of your typical history program, and I'm going to go into present day Chimney Rock State Park. And I'll take you into the future of Chimney Rock State Park because I think you'll find that interesting, and as taxpayers, I think it's all important for us all to know where our taxes are going. So I'll share a little bit of that with you. The Hickory Nut Gorge is, well, first of all, has anybody been to the Hickory Nut Gorge? Raise your hand. Anybody been to Chimney Rock specifically? Okay. So the Hickory Nut Gorge is located on the edge of the Blue Ridge Escarpment, and basically an escarpment is where the Blue Ridge Mountains pretty much drop off into Piedmont. You go from the mountains to the foothills on this escarpment. So we have very drastic land features in this area. In the Hickory Nut Gorge, we have steep cliffs and waterfalls and large boulders where the rock has eroded away. And you can see this Google image of the Hickory Nut Gorge with the Rocky Broad River cutting right through the middle of the gorge, and that river is what has eroded the mountain away to create this pretty significant rock feature that we have on the other side of our county. There's another picture of the Hickory Nut Gorge. This was taken in the early 1900s. So a little bit going into the history of the Hickory Nut Gorge. The Hickory Nut Gorge has been used by humans for thousands of years. It was originally used by the Catawba and Cherokee people. It was known as a sacred land, and the Cherokee and Catawba believed that the Hickory Nut Gorge had strong energy fields, and that's what brought its special nature. There's also myths of little people, trickster little people, who would inhabit the gorge and play tricks on the Native Americans. They would take things from them or replace them with other things, and these myths go on and on about these trickster little people running around in the Hickory Nut Gorge. This goes back to Cherokee history. The Cherokee were the primary residents of the gorge until, unfortunately, in the 1830s, they were removed via the Trail of Tears. The gorge, it's always been a kind of a passage of travel for people to get further west in our state, to get up to Asheville. People during the Carolina Gold Rush, which started in about the early 1800s, some gold was found in North Carolina, and it was the first real big gold rush in our country. This gold rush would continue, and a lot of it took place around in this area and the Hickory Nut Gorge, and that would continue until about 1848, 1849, when the California Gold Rush took off. The skills and experience learned during this Carolina Gold Rush is really what brought on a lot of the success with the California Gold Rush. A lot of lessons were learned. The American Civil War, Union and Confederate soldiers both utilized the Hickory Nut Gorge for its endless hiding places up there. Anyone who's been there, you know there's lots of boulders and crevices and places to hide. Western North Carolina has a history of the Underground Railroad, people escaping slavery, freedom seekers, and there's data showing that freedom seekers utilize the Hickory Nut Gorge as a safe passageway to get further north to freedom. In 1848, large movements inside the mountains of the gorge, big rock slides and boulder falls happened, and it caused panic in the area. People thought it was the end of the world. All kinds of loud noises and banging, and people didn't know what it was at the time. But it was basically these rock slides happening inside the mountain, creating large fissure caves inside the mountains. If you've ever heard of Bat Cave, this is when the Bat Cave, the largest fissure cave in North America, was formed. And that's where Rumbling Bald, one of the iconic mountains we have in the gorge, got its name, was from the rumbles happening inside the mountain. Ecotourism is still true today, has been the driving force of the Hickory Nut Gorge. It's been the driving force for over 120 years. Like I mentioned before, it has been one of the primary routes for people to get further west up towards Asheville, and it's a good resting spot. You got plenty of scenery up there, which we'll look at some of that scenery here in a minute. There's a present day picture of the Hickory Nut Gorge. I took that picture from a spot called Exclamation Point in Chimney Rock State Park. You're looking up towards Bat Cave in Girton. Starting getting into the history of the Chimney Rock attraction. The attraction history starts in about 1880 when a man named Jerome B. Freeman purchased the initial land of the attraction, and he had stairs and ladders and a bridge built across the Rocky Broad River to access this land, with dreams of taking visitors up to the top of Chimney Rock. Mr. Freeman, who purchased this land, finally opened the park to the public in 1885. Visitors could come and pay a small fee and take a mule trail up towards the chimney and catch the sights from up there. Mr. Freeman was more of an entrepreneur than an environmentalist. Eventually, while he had this property, he would have logged the entire piece of property that he had at that time. But that being said, he did also invest a lot into the accessibility of the Chimney Rock attraction and the Hickory Nut Gorge. About 20 years later, after Mr. Freeman first purchased the land, another gentleman and his two twin brothers, Dr. Lucius B. Morris, took a 25-cent mule tour up to Chimney Rock. He was out trying to get some fresh air to cure his tuberculosis. And he and his brothers went up this mountain, and he was so inspired of it by the scenery and the potential there. He went in and with an investment with his brothers and purchased the land from Mr. Freeman. It was an original 400 acres he bought for $5,000. We'll get in a second to how much the state paid for it. Those days, the passage up to Chimney Rock was very rugged. I mentioned he took a mule a mule path up towards the chimney. There were no roads built really at that point. You can see this is the current day entrance to the park. We have a much better bridge these days, and these gentlemen are taking horseback. Automobiles really weren't traveling through the gorge much at this point. The highway really hadn't been completed, and not many people traveling through by automobile. But one of Mr. Morris's big projects to increase even more accessibility to Chimney Rock was, after purchasing the property, was to build a road all the way to the base of Chimney Rock so that people could drive their cars up there. So this is a picture taken shortly after the road was completed, and some cabins called Cliff Dwellers Inn was put in up there. We'll get more to that in a second. So Dr. Morris put all this work into building this road and a new bridge across the river, and opened the park up. And the first American flag was flown on July 4th, 1916. That iconic American flag you all have probably seen before. We still fly it today. And people were lining up to come visit the park. That same year, 1916, North Carolina State Parks, we purchased our first unit of the state park system, Mount Mitchell State Park. So the same year, Chimney Rock Park is officially opening as an attraction with the flag and everything, where the state park system in North Carolina is starting to take shape. But unfortunately, that same year, there was the great flood of 1916. 2 weeks after opening and his brand new road, Hurricane Hilda decimated the Hickory Nut Gorge and much of western North Carolina. There were significant landslides, as you can see in the picture. Landslides 25 to 200 feet in width, swept boulders and full-grown trees down and just completely decimated the community. A lot of those landslide areas you can still see today, and a lot of them, some of those spots have recently given way again. So I mentioned earlier about the topography of the gorge, loose rocks and steep cliffs. When you have that type of topography, landslides are going to always be an issue. But the park, we build and it falls down and we rebuild again. A couple years later, Dr. Morris had more stairs and trails built for more accessibility. In 1919, a 200-seat venue to restaurant on top of Vista Rock was built. If anybody's been to Vista Rock, right now it's just a rock platform. You may have seen it back here if anybody looked at these pictures back here. They built this big old restaurant out there with pretty spectacular views, and I hear they had the best barbecue in town. So here you're in the top parking lot on the left-hand picture. Top parking lot right below at the base of Chimney Rock, and below that is Vista Rock with the Pavilion restaurant there. About a year later, the Cliff Dwellers Inn opens up. This was to provide amenities for people to come to the park and stay overnight. If anybody's been there today, you notice that's not there anymore. It was torn down, and I'll talk a little bit more about why it was torn down in a second. But it was pretty much built right into the cliffside there. And if anybody's been to, again, Chimney Rock in present day, you know we have a gift shop, which we call Cliff Dwellers Gift Shop. It's kind of a throwback to the Cliff Dwellers Inn there. Some interior shots of Cliff Dwellers Inn. So Dr. Morris had a dream of building a big resort community in and around Chimney Rock. And part of that dream was having a lake built. So in 1927, the Lake Lure Dam was completed, which backed up the Rocky Broad River and formed the lake we have there today. There's a picture of the dam in the 30s. So this Lake Lure Dam is nearing its 100 years of being around mark. So I know the town has put in significant resources into maintaining that dam. It's kind of hard to see. This was Dr. Morris's original plan for what the Lake Lure Resort community would look like. You can't really see it up there on that screen, but I've counted 6 or 7 golf courses there and all kinds of big developments. And I would say Lake Lure is very developed, and there's at least one golf course now. But his dreams, thankfully, he was able to see a lot of his dreams become reality. 1934, he had the front gate built. If you've been here, you've seen that iconic front gate still stands today. The landscaping looks a little bit different. There's no longer a big fountain out front, and you got some more landscaping bushes and whatnot on either side of the gate. But that impressive gate still stands today. And again, Dr. Morris lived till the age of 75. He died in 1946, and he lived long enough to see this dream he had of Chimney Rock becoming this big tourist destination and the Lake Lure community coming to life. You can see here downtown Chimney Rock. Doesn't look like it's changed much in the past, at least 40, 50 years. You see there on the right the sign for the elevator. That's the entrance to the Chimney Rock elevator. We're famous for our elevator, and one of the main phone calls we get is the elevator running. I think we have a reputation up there. It is consistently running now. We've put a lot of work and money into it, and we've got a new motor system and computer systems up there that are one of a kind that allow that elevator to work inside the Chimney Rock Mountain there. This is a picture of crews digging out that elevator tunnel. The tunnel was 189 feet long and straight into the mountain, and then the crews from the top came in and dug 258 feet down for the shaft to be built for the elevator there. While they were dynamiting these holes into the mountain for this elevator tunnel and shaft, that's when the banging from the dynamite going off, the Cliff Dwellers Inn unlatched from the mountain and collapsed there. So they were completely demolished at that point. The Chimney Rock elevator at the time when it was built, it was the largest Otis elevator in North Carolina. And the dream of creating a more accessible Hickory Nut Gorge and Chimney Rock attraction becomes even more of a reality for people who are not able to walk the 500 steps all the way up to the chimney. The elevator is a good option that will take you all the way up to the top and through the gift shop and out, so you can catch the spectacular views just like anyone else if your mobility doesn't allow you to walk up more steps than most people are used to. Well, there's a good picture of the elevator entrance today, and that's the tunnel you take to get up to the elevator itself that will take you up to the top gift shop. In the 1960s, we saw more development and more accessibility to Chimney Rock Mountain and the Chimney Rock attraction with the creation of the Hickory Nut Falls Jeep Trail. This Jeep Trail took people for an extra fee. People could pay and go on this Jeep tour down the Hickory Nut Falls Trail, and the trail would take you right to the base of the 404-foot tall Hickory Nut Falls. A very impressive sight. Anyone who's ever been out there, you know now that there's no longer Jeeps going up and down that trail. In the late 70s, due to environmental concerns and to reduce impact on the trail. Also, I believe it's when the 70s oil crisis was going on and they weren't running the Jeeps anymore. This was turned into a foot traffic only trail. So today you can go walk a half a mile out a pretty easy to moderate trail out to the bottom of this waterfall. When I got here, I had a handful of y'all talk to me about the Chimney Rock hill climb. So I'm glad I'm touching on this because it seems to be a topic of interest. The Chimney Rock hill climb was started in 1956. And this event, people in very, very fast cars would drive the Chimney Rock Park Road up to the base of the chimney, essentially. This event went on until 1995. And I've talked to my boss. Hopefully one day we can maybe get that on the books again. I would love to see that event in real person. But during my preparation for this presentation for you all, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole of hill climb YouTube videos. And I've got one to share with you today. Let me see if I got it. Well, sorry to get your hopes up. You can YouTube Chimney Rock Hill Climb, and there's some pretty neat videos on there. The speed those people are taking those turns at are pretty significant. Yes?
My brother and I went there. I seen a horse get cut in half.
Really?
He ran off and hit a tree, and it just cut the car right in half behind the driver. Didn't kill the driver. He was lucky. A lot of people did get hurt.
Yeah, I imagine there are a lot of accidents like that going at those kinds of speeds.
People were just all around the track, too, on top of rocks and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling that's probably why the state doesn't want to continue that one right there.
Yeah, that's
Uh-oh. 1983, Chimney Rock hosted hot air balloon races. Pretty neat event. You can see, I believe that picture was taken from the opera box, and you can see hot air balloons in the background of the chimney there. Over the decades, Chimney Rock has been a host to lots of animals. If you visit the park today, you'll encounter Grady's Animal Discovery Den, where park visitors can come and experience native animals such as our groundhogs we have, and possums, and all kinds of reptiles and amphibians. When environmental awareness grew in the 1980s, the park started to host more researchers, professionals, and hired trained educational staff and trail guides to better understand the rich diversity and native species that call the gorge home. There's one of our possums there. And these animals that the park keep, they're all rehabilitated animals who can't go back into the wild for one reason or the other. You can see an old picture there of one of the educators holding an owl teaching students, and one current day on the right holding a snake teaching students. So it's a continued tradition to host school groups and engage the young and the old through our critters that we have that live natively. Many of y'all, has anybody seen Last of the Mohicans before? Okay, if you've ever seen it, the last 17 minutes, the best 17 minutes of the whole movie, were filmed at Chimney Rock. It's kind of neat to watch that movie and, oh, I know that place. It's exciting to watch, and it's one of our claims to fame, I would say. That movie, a lot of it was shot on the old Cliff Trail, which some of y'all may be familiar with if you've ever been out there before the state bought the property. So that's some of the Chimney Rock attraction. As we're going to start heading more towards the history of the state park and how the morphing of the two happens here. So in 2005, if anybody's from Henderson County, you may be familiar with the World's Edge property. It's, and I talked about the Blue Ridge Escarpment. This is a perfect example. You're standing on the edge of this cliff, drop straight down, and you can see down into Polk County, South Carolina for miles and miles. So that's a pretty significant imagery there. It's called World's Edge for a reason. Conserving Carolina was on a mission to protect this 1,500-acre property from development, and a lot of the board members of this conservancy put their own retirement and, in one case, their own family farm on the line to protect this property. And eventually, enough funds were raised to buy this piece of property and transfer it to the state. And with that, the Hickory Nut Gorge State Natural Area was created when the state acquired this property. So this is the original tract of what is today Chimney Rock State Park. I don't know if anybody would find this interesting. I do. I like looking at deeds. This is the original land deed of the World's Edge property. See up there? About 1,400 acres in Rutherford County, although it is accessed through Henderson County. There's about 46 acres in Henderson County and about 33 acres in Polk County, so it's right where the counties come together. It's not an official access of the park still today, but it is a very popular area. Lots of locals know about it. A year after that, in 2006, the Chimney Rock attraction went up for sale to the public for $55 million. Those of you who were in the area at the time or familiar with all this transpiring, you may remember the public fears of this area turning into a development. And a Save Chimney Rock campaign was created and started, and there's a lot of public push for the state to buy this property and protect it. The state originally offered $20 million for the 996 acres of the Chimney Rock attraction. Eventually, the agreed upon price was $24 million. Along with this purchase, the Hickory Nut Gorge State Natural Area was turned into Chimney Rock State Park. As the state moves in, so does our mission statement and our goals. Our mission statement is to inspire all of our citizens and visitors through conservation, education, and recreation. So anytime the state is moving forward with something in regards to state parks, we're working towards that mission of conserving, protecting property, providing people places to recreate, and we're here to educate. Shortly after the state purchased the Chimney Rock attraction, due to dangerous failing infrastructure and to avoid injury and loss of life, the State Park Service decided to close the Cliff Line and Skyline trails. I get that question a lot. When's the state going to reopen those trails? I've been on those trails, and they are very, very dangerous. They take you right on the edge of the cliff, and there wasn't much stopping people from going over the edge. Around that same time, a couple years later, the state spent over $3 million investing into already established trails there at the park. I have this helicopter on here. This is a helicopter that's brought in and installed all the metal beams that the outcropping stairs used. I'll show you a picture. There. Quite an engineering feat there to use a helicopter to drop all these steel posts into place and all these stair systems. It's pretty extensive. The top left, you can see the helicopter with its cable dropping that metal into place. In 2017, another improvement the state made shortly after purchasing the Chimney Rock attraction was rerouting the Skyline Trail. So it wasn't the original route that went right on the edge of the cliff. It went a little more over the mountain and takes you to the same place at the top of the Hickory Nut Falls waterfall. Our state park continues to grow. In 2012, the Nature Conservancy bought about 1,000 acres on and around Rumbling Bald Mountain. You can see Rumbling Bald Mountain there on the right. and transferred this property to the state park. Rumbling Bald is historically a very popular climbing area. It one of the, if not the most popular climbing areas on the eastern United States. So the climbers were very happy about this. And in 2018, we built where the climbers used to park was pretty much in the woods along a dirt clay path and along the sides of the roads. So when the state came and got this property, we put in a parking lot that can fit over 200 cars and restroom facilities and a trail kiosk. This parking lot that fits over about 200 to 300 cars easily fills up every Saturday and Sunday during climbing season, which is November through March, believe it or not. Climbers like the cold and the south-facing slopes of Rumbling Bald. It's a nice, warm place for them to climb without all the vegetation to worry about in the summertime. There's a 1.5 mile loop out at Rumbling Bald, but if you don't feel like you're up for a hike, you can drive to this parking lot and catch that view right there. Pretty dramatic view you can get just from sitting in your car. It's a popular sunset spot for tourists in the summer, just to drive right up, catch the sunset, and go get dinner. Here's some of the climbing activities I mentioned. The one on the left is it's a climbing sport, but it's called bouldering, if anybody's familiar with that. Basically, these rock climbers bring in these look like big baby mattresses on their backs. They call them crash pads. And they climb on these rocks, and they have these crash pads to catch their fall. Hopefully, if they fall, it'll catch and break their fall. You can see in the middle picture the hordes of climbers coming in. And then you got some rope climbing there on the right. So it's kind of a different world if you've never experienced that. I recommend driving through there on a winter weekend day, and you can see the spectacle that it is. Our state park continues to grow. With the Nature Conservancy purchased the Eagle Rock access in 2017. This is access through, the official address is in Black Mountain, at the end of Shumont Road, if anybody's familiar with that. This area opened up even more climbing access to climbers, but also this parking lot and access provided connectivity to the Weed Patch Mountain Trail. It's an 8.5 mile long mountain bike and hiking trail that takes you all the way down to Lake Lure at Buffalo Creek Park. This, just like Rumbling Bald, if you don't want to walk very far and catch some good views, this is a good spot to do it. I took this picture from the parking lot. You go straight past that gate up that logging road about a 1/4 mile, and you are there. Very, very dramatic views of facing west towards the Black Mountains in Asheville. Got that one a few weeks ago, catching the sunset up there and some heavy cloud cover coming in beneath me. There's another good sunset picture from Eagle Rock there. So even if you don't want to go and hike or climb or do anything else, just catching the views out there, it's pretty remarkable. So I have this spreadsheet on here to kind of show you our visitation trends of Chimney Rock. Shortly after the state first purchased the attraction and became Chimney Rock State Park, we began keeping visitation records. I've highlighted in yellow our first year of keeping attendance. About 200,000 people visited the park. You can see that trend, it starts to go up a little bit, but really you see the jump during 2019. If you all remember the COVID year, no one wanted to be stuck inside, but everyone wanted to get away from everyone else, so everyone came flocking to the parks to come spread out in the woods. And then you've seen a consistent climb until this past year. You have about 400,000 people visiting the park. So in the past, since the state park, since its formation, we've had pretty significant jumps in attendance. Chimney Rock State Park today. So the state actually contracts the management, the operations of the Chimney Rock attraction. And our concessionaire is Chimney Rock Management, LLC. They've been managing this place for over 100 years since the formation of the attraction. They have 20 full-time staff, and during peak season in the summer, they can reach 65 plus staff members to keep everything running smoothly. This LLC, our concessionaire, they handle the operations within the attraction, such as the gift shops, the food, the parking, the running the ticket plaza. They have trail guide staff. They do educational programs with the animal critters I showed you. The maintenance, they handle a lot so that the state doesn't have to. So we contract that out. Any emergency services type stuff, usually they're going to call a park ranger to respond to anything medical or law enforcement related. So we work together for sure, but they handle a lot of the day-to-day stuff. The new contract for this, the management of the attraction went up for bid last year to the public. So that's all being reviewed. I think yesterday a lot of that was submitted for the new contract. I don't know the details of it, so don't ask. It's very kept under wraps, but it's under review and will be awarded sometime this year. Chimney Rock State Park today, we manage over 7,000 acres now. You can see highlighted in yellow are the state park boundaries. We have over 50 miles of boundary line on both sides of the Hickory Nut Gorge. You can see there in the middle, Lake Lure, feeding into Lake Lure is the Rocky Broad River. We have 1 superintendent, 5 park rangers, 3 maintenance staff, and 3 seasonal employees. And we all work together, and an office assistant, and we all work together to keep the state park running, functioning, provide emergency services. And I'll go into some of the things that we do. So a lot of these people, such as the maintenance staff, office assistants, seasonals, it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that a lot of the general public don't know what we do. You probably don't know a lot of what I do. So I'm going to kind of talk to you about what we as North Carolina State Park Rangers do to manage the areas that we watch over. We are medical first responders. You can see me there in the Stokes basket at the top of 500 steps. That's my superintendent taking his hands off the Stokes basket. But we respond to medical emergencies within the park. We work alongside fire and EMS and help people out when they get hurt. Usually when somebody gets hurt, the park ranger's the first medically trained person on scene to stabilize the patient and get additional resources if needed. If you go hiking out there and you want to go take an adventure off trail and you get lost, we're also trained in search and rescue. So we'll usually be the first ones to get called out. Working alongside the fire department, we have a much better lay of the land than most people because we're out there all the time. So we're trained to be able to go and help find people who get turned around out there. Also in the Rocky Broad River, sometimes people get swept downriver. So again, we're usually the first ones on scene for a call like that. So I'll put on my life jacket, get my throw bag, and go and hopefully bring anyone who's getting swept downriver back to safety. We're land managers. In the wintertime, one of our big projects we work on is working on marking our boundary line. You can see me there tacking a state park boundary sign to the tree. Every 100 feet, we're putting a sign, and in between that, we're putting yellow paint to let people know this is clearly defined state park boundary. We use this opportunity to address any encroachment issues, hunting issues we run into. And it's also a good time to engage with our park neighbors, because a lot of times our neighbors want to know what we're up to, and we like to talk to them and see what's going on in their backyard, you know? And a lot of times you can get a lot of good information that way, talking to your neighbors. You see there on the right is, everyone knows what that is, right? Yeah. So our state park's slogan is naturally wonderful, and I would say there's nothing natural or wonderful about kudzu taking over our forest. So you can see me there, barely, in a field of kudzu, spraying it with some chemical to kill it back. That's another part of our jobs is encouraging the native plants and animals that are supposed to live in the park to thrive and eliminate the invasive plants that will, in the long run, create just a monoculture of just 1 or 2 plants. So We're also trained law enforcement officers. We go through the same standards that any police officer or sheriff deputy go through. We have the same continuing in-service every year that any other law enforcement does. Therefore, we have the same authorities that any other law enforcement does. We can give warnings, write citations, we can arrest people, all that fun stuff. The main difference is our jurisdiction lies within state park boundaries. So as a state park ranger, I can enforce laws within any state park within the state, just not really much anywhere else unless I'm requested to help other agencies. We're also wildland firefighters. So when we first get hired on, our first pretty much 2 years are just training. So if a forest fire happens in the park, which they happen very often, especially at Chimney Rock, we're again usually one of the first people on scene to respond to that fire. We put on our special PPE, our Nomex here, the yellow shirt and green pants, grab our fire bag, everything we need in it for a day or a week, and we'll go out and start initial attacks on that fire. You can see the picture in the right, the park ranger there, he's holding it's called a drip torch. He's actually there setting the woods on fire. We're also involved with prescribed burning within our parks. And prescribed burning is an essential part of a healthy forest because forest naturally, part of a healthy forest is getting kind of cleaned out every once in a while. So when the conditions are right, we'll go through and set our own woods on fire and kind of clean house, so to speak. We haven't done any prescribed fires at Chimney Rock yet due to the terrain topography. It's a really difficult place to do a safe prescribed fire with all the cliff lines and hard to reach areas. We're also trained as with a chainsaw. So when a trail or a road gets blocked, who's going to cut it? We're usually the first ones there to cut up any trees that are blocking the way and do that safely with our PPE that we need. We also, when we're first hired on, we go through a week-long environmental educators course so that we can talk to people about the natural world and history and other things. We talk to school groups and college groups and come to events like this and go to libraries and go to schools. We have schools come to the park. So we're very engaged in the community, and we want to teach people about the natural world and the state park and history and related things. So I told you we're going to go into the future. This is looking forward. So back in when the state park was first established, with public input, I don't know if any of you were in on that process, it was open up for input from the public to our stakeholders, local citizens and state residents, because it is a state park, to provide input on our master plan. Where is the park going to be in 100 years? What does the public want? What's possible? So we have a 100-year vision for the park, and to guide us along that 100-year vision, we have a 25-year master plan I have here now. If anybody wants to come and check this out this evening, I'll have it up here and you can flip through it. This is public knowledge. This is your tax dollars, so you're welcome to look at it. There's some really neat ideas in there, and for progress moving forward with the state park. And within that 25-year master plan, we have a 5-year action plan. So what are we doing now to work towards tomorrow, or 25 years, 100 years down the road? I know you can't see this map either, but some neat ideas in here. Or if anyone's familiar with bottomless pools, eventually, if the state can ever get their hands on that, opening that up as an access. I saw on one of the intensive recreation use maps, there's a idea for a 300-car parking lot on top of Chimney Rock Mountain. Of course, building a public access to World's Edge day use area, a parking lot and restrooms out there, and extensive trail networks to connect all this. So there's some neat ideas, and if you're into recreation or you just want to know as a taxpayer, I encourage you to look into this stuff. It's pretty neat stuff. Of course, there are limitations to what the state can do. You can't force somebody to sell property, or there might not be funding available and easements and all kinds of things. So sometimes there's hiccups in the master plan, and that's why we have different layers of the plan to kind of adapt and overcome and move forward. Another neat project, back in 2017, our state legislator approved the Hickory Nut Gorge State Trail. This is a 100-mile-plus trail network that will connect the entire Hickory Nut Gorge, all the way from up in Girton, all the way towards Lake Lure, around Lake Lure. So potentially, when this trail is completed, hikers will be able to, if you wanted to, you could loop 100 miles all the way around the gorge. And I imagine the folks who took those early pictures of the gorge probably did not imagine anything like that coming to life. It's pretty neat. Trail system already in place, and just the time that I've been at, the last 4 or so years I've been at Chimney Rock, it's been neat to see all the trails being opened one after another to continue to provide people access to the Hickory Nut Gorge. So that's bringing us up to present day and into the future. When you all came in, I had some pictures back here. You may have seen them or not. I just kind of wanted to kind of do some then and now pictures and kind of show you some of the progress. It's hard to do in your typical PowerPoint presentation to show this is how it was, this is how it is now. But I'd like to take that opportunity now to do that and just kind of go through these with you. So you can see this image was taken in 1910 on the left. And you can notice a handful of differences, such as no handrails. I'm scared to be up there with the handrails. No flagpole. See, that's still farmland down there instead of Lake Lure. Does anybody have one they want to add that they see? Neat features? It did. Yeah. Yep. I'm surprised those trees can live up there. There's no soil up there. It's just rock. So they're pretty hardy trees. Those are Virginia pines up there. So this first picture on the left was taken in the 1920s. The picture on the right was taken in the 2020s. I find something funny I find about this picture is on the left you see the guys on horseback riding on the bridge. On the right, you can't see it, but that little sign right there says no walking or riding across the bridge. So things have changed. You have the car, the automobile there. Oh, there's another neat picture of the bridge coming in there. Looks like a tight squeeze for those cars there. Here again is the pavilion I mentioned. That picture on the left was taken in 1918. The picture on the right is today, the same spot, Vista Rock. Something you'll notice on the picture on the left, it's hard to see in black and white, but that's kudzu along the railing there. So kudzu's been a constant fan of ours in the park. It's been around for a long time. They used to encourage people to grow it back then. Here you have that Cliff Dwellers Inn that I mentioned. 1920 was when that picture was taken. The same spot today. A few years ago when I first started at Chimney Rock, there was a landslide in the top parking lot, so that parking lot there is brand new. After the project was completed, one of the construction gentlemen who were contracted out to complete the project, he told me that parking lot will be there longer than the mountain will be there. It's there to stay. So you can see it's similar parking though. You got the elevator entrance. 1947 is when the blasting begun. So you can see this guy hard at work here. And it paid off because people come to Chimney Rock specifically a lot of times for the reason of its accessibility for folks who can't get around as well as others to be able to get up and get those mountain views. Here I have the front gate again. Back long ago when that front gate was first built, that was where tickets were taken for people to pay to get into the park. There on the right, you have our current, we call it the ticket plaza. It's where people, it's about 1.5 miles up the park road, and they come and pay for their entrance ticket there and go on and enjoy their day after that. There's another, on the left is another picture of one of the ticket houses. There on the right, you have Nose Rock, they called it. And on the left, we call it the lodge. It's where actually the ticket taker, he lived there. And that little booth, you had to drive all the way almost to the top of the park road to get and pay for your ticket. So once you've driven all that way, you're not turning back around. Here you have another picture of that hill climb race. I show this because where the cars are parked here is an area called the Meadows, taken in the same area as the picture on the right. The Meadows it was cleared in 1981 to make way for more parking because that top parking lot I showed you just wasn't doing it for the rising attendance levels. Yeah, it's a 5-acre plot of land. You can fit hundreds and hundreds of cars there in the summer, and it'll easily fill up on a summer weekend day.
Any chance of having another hot air balloon test there?
Fingers crossed. I'd say that's more likely than the hill climb.
Yeah. Do you happen to remember, there was some famous race car drivers that ran the hill climb. Do you happen to remember any of those names?
I don't know any off the top of my head, and that YouTube video had one of the guys who consistently won every year. He had nitrous oxide in his car, and the video is so fast. It looks like the video is glitching, but it's actually just the speed he's going. It's just so fast, it does not look real.
These were race car drivers that became just the Chimney Rock.
Yep. Yep. It was definitely a popular event. I mentioned the Hickory Nut Falls Jeep Trail. There you have it again on the left. That was sometime late 60s, early 70s. That's present day. You can kind of notice, it doesn't really look like you could take a Jeep there anymore. It's a lot rockier. A lot of that ground is eroded away over the years. That is my last picture I have, leaving Hickory Nut Gorge. So I hope you all learned something today. I appreciate the invitation to be here and talk to you all about the history of the Hickory Nut Gorge and Chimney Rock Park. I encourage you all to come out and visit the park sometime. I'm here from Ruffton, or I live here in Ruffton now, and I've talked to so many people on this side of the county who have never been to the park. And I feel like that's unfortunate, and I mean there's various reasons. There's the paid attraction, but we also have these other free accesses now, making the gorge even more accessible. So I encourage you all to come out and visit. If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to come up and talk to me afterwards. I'd love to chat about it. Or if you have something you wanted to learn me about, I'd love to hear it. So I have one more thing before I wrap up. Just to continue this thread of increased accessibility to the park and the state parks in the gorge. I brought, courtesy of Chimney Rock Management, our concessionaire, I brought free adult tickets to Chimney Rock attraction. So anyone in the room who wants to take a free visit to Chimney Rock, you can come visit me, and I'll give them to Ralph back here, one of our hardworking seasonal employees who volunteered to help me out tonight. You can visit Ralph, and he'll hand you a free pass to Chimney Rock. You just present it at the ticket plaza, and they'll let you in. So I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know
know about you, but I thought I knew a lot about Chimney Rock, and I learned a lot. I had no idea how much it had expanded. Thank you so much for that, and for the free tickets. That's wonderful. We also want to thank all of you for coming, and I have an important announcement for you to make note of. Normally, our History Matters programs are on the first Thursday of every month. Next month, in March, it's on the second Thursday. Same time, 5:30, but it will be March 14th. And this program will be about Rutherford County native Robert C. McNair, or Bob McNair, who grew up in the Harris community. And if you'll just give me a few seconds to whet your appetite for that program, Isothermal's Mike Gavin sent some interesting little facts that you may not be aware of, and to kind of get you interested to come to that March meeting. Robert McNair had a simple country upbringing that instilled values of hard work and thriftiness. By the time he was in high school, he was a talented athlete, but the Harris School did not have all the sports Bob wanted to play, so he'd hitchhike or ride his bike into Forest City so he could attend Cool Springs High School, which had more sports teams. After high school, Bob attended the University of South Carolina, where his interest turned toward developing his leadership skills. He started his work career in the car leasing business in Charlotte. He had many successes and failures, learning from all of them. He started a trucking company, and later on he built an energy company and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar business. In the 1980s, McNair became one of the world's richest men, who would go on founding the NFL's Houston Texans. Bob and his wife Janice knew that they had been blessed with the gifts and abilities to create such a vast wealth, and they wanted to be good stewards of their God-given fortune. Bob and a buddy from high school, Chuck Flack, knew they had many classmates who never had the guidance or support to go to college. They wondered how much of a difference those students could have made in the world if they had that support and guidance. And this was the beginning of the Robert and Janice McNair Educational Foundation, which has helped thousands of Rutherford County students achieve their dream of college attendance and success. So the History Matters program on March 14th at 5:30 in here will explore some of the stories of this remarkable man and his legacy. So we hope that you will come. And thank you for coming tonight, and be safe as you travel.